So I think 2023 is going to be a transitional year, and that's exciting for me. So it's not to say that I still don't think Bitcoin might head down a little bit lower, but I think it's going to be the key year where it puts in a bottom. And I actually think that it will start to become the asset that everyone has hoped it would become, which is kind of a safety asset, an asset where when the government is printing money, it actually does, become the safe haven, or when the economy is going badly, I actually think it becomes the safe haven. So I do think that that coincides with regulation. So I do think 2023 is going to be a really intriguing, interesting year, full with lots of opportunities.
In late 2021, when he started giving some incredibly bearish predictions for Bitcoin, popular technical analyst Gareth Soloway was thought a fool by half of the Bitcoin community and hated by the other half. But that didn't stop several of his predictions from playing out right before our eyes. When Bitcoin was still above $50,000, and many thought it would rise to $100, Soloway predicted it was going to hit $20,000 and fall even lower. It did. Since then, the veteran swing trader has continuously updated his predictions for the world's largest cryptocurrency based on the macro environment and other issues that impact the crypto market. For 2023, Soloway is taking a completely different stance for his Bitcoin predictions. He gets into detail in a recent interview with CryptoEMC, where he discusses his predictions for the leading crypto asset in 2023. The recent bullish moves and how he believes Bitcoin will perform if the United States economy falls into recession in 2023. Though Soloway does not rule out further price declines, he is certain that we will get Bitcoin bottom within the coming months and begin to see the crypto asset fulfill its main purpose. As for further declines, the technical analyst is not ruling out the possibility basically because of the crypto asset's performance in previous bear markets. He explains that Bitcoin fell between 80 and 90% in previous bear markets. Soloway believes a similar thing could occur now, but he does not rule out the possibility of a different scenario playing out. This, according to Soloway, will show that Bitcoin is maturing compared to previous years. Before we listen to Gareth Soloway's interview, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Also, make sure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below to help us get the video to more viewers. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
As a trader or a swing trader, or even as an investor, it's so important for us to kind of think outside of the box, because when any one side becomes too big in terms of hearing that narrative and only that narrative, it tends to draw us in, and we really want to stay independent to really see what the truth is, right? And so for me, it's looking at the charts, and the charts are the clearest, most precise way to get through the noise into reality. And so, for instance, if we look at the Bitcoin chart here, I don't know if you can pop it up, but one of the things that I love is that Bitcoin actually showed us that a mini breakout was going to come in, right? So you have this pivot high, which was your FTX high pivot, down to this high, and you could see how price was kind of going here. It crept above, paused, kind of retested that line, and then it's gotten this little bit of a bullish move. Now, as soon as we get the first bullish move, we start hearing about, oh, the bottom's in, we're going to go to new all-time highs in 3-6 months. In reality, that's not what it's telling me, right? So this is a short-term bullish move, which is inside of a bear market. But the biggest thing to me is this high pivot right from the FTX collapse. So if price were to get above that, like let's say we do have an incredible bull run and we take out this psychologically significant high, which was when FTX collapsed, then to me, now you can talk about the potential for a low is in and maybe a new bull market is on the verge. But as long as we're inside of this is a classic bear flag pattern, right? So, you basically take the drop and this inside chop, and that's bearish overall. So again, it's just the purity of the charts where you can have these little intra-bear market rallies, but until significant pinpoint levels are taken out, you have to be in the camp that we're still in a bear market. That means Bitcoin and crypto is vulnerable for more downside, and you want to be protective against that. For me, the trend is your friend until it isn't, right? So, you have to continue to go in that way. As traders, we just have to be very aware of when the trend changes. So for me, if price were to eclipse this big move down, that would be a potential trend change for me. But for me, there's a couple things that I worry about with Bitcoin and why maybe it hasn't quite bottomed yet. Number one, in past cycles, in bear market cycles, prices dropped 80+%. We haven't dropped that much yet. We're getting close, but we haven't dropped that much in Bitcoin's price since the all-time highs in 2021. The thing that would make the most sense to me in regards to it maybe not doing that is to think about the stock market, right? So as the stock market gets bigger and bigger, yeah, you have bear markets where we'll see, a 25, 30, 40% move down. But the more mature, the more investors that a market has, the corrections are usually smaller. Even if you go back to 2008, 2009, the Great Recession, which was a horrendous collapse in the financial system, the S&P only dropped 66%. Mainly, again, it's a mature market. So I think there's something to be said for that Bitcoin is maturing, and it's going to draw more interest from a larger group. And then ultimately, they could be in a position to maybe not correct 80 to 85%. And then I think you have to look at it and say, here we have the Federal Reserve, and this is the first cycle bear market where Bitcoin does not have printing money going on. And so the question is, does that mean the bear market low is going to be less or more of a downside move? And again, to me, it would make sense that it would be even a little bit worse because the Fed is not printing money. And again, one of the things that I'm really keen on is if we can get regulation in the space. I know a lot of people don't want regulation, but I think after you saw what happened with FTX, you need transparency. Then I think that could be a catalyst for the next bull run leading into the halving in 2024.
The macro environment in the United States, probably far more than any other event, had a huge impact on crypto asset prices in 2022. As we face another 12 months of uncertainties, Soloway also gives his prediction on how he believes changing economic signals in the U.S. could affect Bitcoin in 2023. In his interview, he discusses what he expects from the U.S. Federal Reserve in 2023, the possibility of a recession, and most importantly, how Bitcoin would perform during a period of economic decline in the world's largest economy.
To me, when I look at what the Fed has done is they have moved too quickly. Like to raise rates, if you think about the percentage gain, and again, a lot of times you'll hear comparisons back to the 1970s with Volcker and into the 80s and how he raised interest rates from 12 to 18%. And if you look at that, what percentage move up was that? So it was about a 50% hike in interest rates. But what you look at here with the situation now is we were at 25 basis points, and now we're basically at 5. That is hundreds and hundreds of percentage points increase. And so you have to think that that's going to have a more dramatic effect on the economy. Now, I think for the Fed, we're going to see a situation where, and they've even said this, they're scared about repeating the mistakes of the 1980s, and it's going to make them not want to lower interest rates right away when we hit a recession. And I think that's going to be the big issue for the market. So I expect this year 1 or 2 more rate hikes, probably 25 basis points each only. And then I think they're going to go into pause mode and just keep interest rates where they are for a significant amount of time. And I think that's where the market is going to get sketched out. It's going to get scared because they're going to see, or the economy is going to go into a recession. And then all investors are going to say, okay, Fed, can you lower interest rates? And they're going to say, well, we can't do that because we're worried that inflation is going to rip higher again. And that key, remember, we have not had a stock market or an economy without the Fed intervention for now, 15 years? Since 2009. So that's 14 years since the Fed has been printing money. And so it really creates this expectation of the investor that the Fed will always rescue us. And I think that's why asset prices in the stock market are still as high as they are. We think that the Fed will come to the rescue, and I don't think they will this time, at least not initially. And I personally do see the need for Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin was created out of the ashes of the financial crisis and the Fed printing money and the idea that governments just printing money is not sustainable in the long run. And I do think that even though the Fed is being resistant to lowering rates and doing stimulus, there will be a point where the economy gets so bad that the Fed will have to print again. And again, the idea hopefully is inflation is low enough where it doesn't make inflation go into some sort of hyperdrive. But I do think that that's the reason Bitcoin has been created, is to be that digital gold. Well, maybe it wasn't created initially as the digital gold, but I do think it is going to become that. And I do think there's a need. I mean, if you look at various countries, third world countries, the way that so many of their citizens are now using Bitcoin, that's the need there. For me in the US, the reason I hold some Bitcoin is for the idea that the dollar will eventually be printed and no longer be the reserve currency of the world. And so it gives me a store of value versus the US dollar. So I do think that either way, even through this nasty bear market, Bitcoin will survive. I think a lot of the alts won't survive. Maybe the top 20 will, but I think for the most part, you'll see a big cleansing of the crypto markets.
Meanwhile, crypto asset prices were higher on Tuesday after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's speech to Sweden's central bank failed to give any direct clues about further interest rate hikes in 2023. As the markets prepared for the impact of his speech, Bitcoin fell from a Monday high of $17,388 to $17,169. After Powell's speech, prices were back above $17,300. Many believe this indicates the end of the bear market and the beginning of a bull run for Bitcoin and other crypto assets. What are your thoughts on the recent price moves in the crypto markets? Do you think they indicate that prices bottom after the FTX collapse? Please drop your replies as well as your comments and observations on Gareth Soloway's video in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.